Hello, I'm Dave and this is Logan, out once again for a walk in the countryside. Thanks for joining us. Now today we're at a place called Knap Hill near the village of Alton Barnes in Wiltshire. It's located about 8 miles southwest of Marlborough. And we're going to be walking a roughly 5.5 mile circular route. We'll be starting at Knap Hill. We'll check out the site of a Neolithic camp. We'll then head eastwards to the site of a deserted medieval village known as Shaw. And then we'll head back west along the Wansdyke Path all the way to Milk Hill, which is the highest point in Wiltshire. And then we'll pass by the iconic Alton Barnes White Horse. And then onto the Adam's Grave, which is a long barrow on our way back to the car park. And I expect we'll see some incredible views along the way. Now I'm filming in the middle of August. The sun is out, there's plenty of blue sky, not too much wind. Should be perfect conditions for walking. Do come along with us. Well, I've parked my car at a free car park at Knap Hill. And we're initially going to head eastwards. The village of Alton Barnes is down in the valley to the south. We're not going to get a chance to have a look round there, although we might see if we can find some light refreshment down there at the end of the walk. Now the first thing to look at just as we leave the car park, indeed just to the south of the car park, are some pillow mounds which basically is a medieval artificial warren to house rabbits. They were obviously bred for meat. And the mounds are about 44 metres long, 6 metres wide and just under half a metre high. And they're deliberately aligned sort of north-northwest to south-southeast between a couple of bell barrows. Well, I know I mentioned recently that I've seen more buttercups than normal this year. The other thing I've seen a lot of is ragwort. I tend to notice it a lot because I used to have a horse, and of course ragwort is poisonous to horses if they ingest it. I was always having to pull it up from my horse's field, but I don't know, it just seems to be much more noticeable this year. And we're actually on sections of a couple of long distance paths. There's the Mid Wiltshire Way, which is a 68 mile long distance path that goes from well, close to the Berkshire border to close to the Somerset border, although I think all the route is actually within Wiltshire. And then there's something called the Tan Hill Way, which is a 12 mile long distance path that goes from Clench Common to Morgan's Hill. So this is sort of looking to the south or southwest, and this hill in front of me here is actually Knap Hill, and on top of it there was a Neolithic camp, a sort of causeway enclosure covering about 6 acres. It was either possibly a meeting place or maybe just an animal stockade. The experts aren't 100% sure. There are a couple of barrows within it, and just to the east is a plateau where there was a smaller later Romano-British settlement. Let's say the views from up here are quite extraordinary. So Alton Barnes is just behind that hill, and then just looking over to the west you can see where, I mean, we'll be coming back along that ridge in the distance, and a place called Adam's Grave right at the top there. Now this is an important part of the route because we're going to leave those 2 major trails. They carry on to the right, and we're going to take this footpath to the left on the side of sort of Golden Ball Hill, and it's going to take us in a pretty much a northeasterly direction. Another stop to take in the view. So this is looking over to the north, and this really is your typical Wiltshire rolling countryside. And it's always hard to put some of these pictures into words. Just as we're making our way sort of north eastwards, come across this little bit of woodland at the top of the hill, and it's quite interesting because well, if you look back on a 1900 map, there was a farm here called Pitt House Farm, but it's now long gone. But it had a pond, and that's still here. I just see, well, reeds through the trees there. I guess, well, this must have been their only source of water supply up here, possibly a sort of dew pond, I don't know. And then just to the north there's a semicircular earthwork which experts think might be Mesolithic, which of course is older than Neolithic. Was a lovely section of the walk. You can see the track behind me that we've been following from the west. I mean, it's a glorious day, but we started very early and there's quite a bit of dew on the ground, so my feet are absolutely soaking wet. But am I worried? No. Well, this is an important part of the route for those folk that might be doing the walk after watching the video. This is about as far east as we're going on the walk. You can see some trees or a bit of woodland in the distance there, and in front of me there's a crop of wheat looking quite magnificent in the sunshine. But we're going to take a footpath to the left in a sort of northerly direction, and then we're going to join up with a major track heading back to the west. Well, this is a very pleasant little section of the walk because it's nice and shaded. Fair bit of the walk today is going to be out in the open, so on a warm day this is just what the doctor ordered. Now this is where we join up with a path that heads westwards, called the Wansdyke Path. It's not the actual Wansdyke itself, I'll explain what that is a little bit later on. But just over to my right, you'll see a footpath goes through those brambles there. That goes on to a place called Shaw Copse. The reason I mention it is that, well, if you look on maps, you'll see that there was once a medieval village located just to the south of it called Shaw. We're not going to explore it because there's nothing to see as far as I'm aware. But the village was mentioned in the Domesday Book, but I think it was very, very small, with just about 3 or 4 taxpayers and probably only about 10 to 20 folk living here, and it was probably deserted by the 15th century. So this Wansdyke Path that we're on now, I think runs from Marlborough to Morgan's Hill. I think it's a 13-mile long distance path. But very shortly we will be joining the Wansdyke itself. Well, folks, how about this for a view? Looking to the sort of north. Actually, this is probably a good spot to tell you all about the Wansdyke, because the course of it basically follows the line of those trees that goes down into the dip and along the other side, and we will be joining it at some stage. But let me tell you a bit about it now. It's a huge earthworks in about 3 sections, built about 20 to 120 years after the Romans left. So I don't know, anywhere between 400 and 500 AD, I suppose. And it's basically a ditch and bank. I think the ditch might be on the northern side, not sure. I'll put a rough route map on screen. But what was it there for? Possibly a boundary or a defence? Might have been built initially by the native Britons defending against the Anglo-Saxons, although some folks suggest that the Romans might have built it first. Others suggest that in fact it was the Anglo-Saxons that built it or reused it to stop the Britons retaking their conquered land. Wansdyke means Dyke of Woden, and Woden was an Anglo-Saxon god. Now this is where we actually join up with the Wansdyke itself, and just where I am now is actually quite an ancient crossroads. Sort of north-south you've got the Ridgeway, which is very much an ancient trackway, and there you can see it heading southwards. I think we may well cross it towards the end of the walk. But we need to continue heading westwards, but this time, as I say, we are going to be on the Wansdyke itself. And indeed, just looking on the other side of the trees, there is the actual ditch. Hopefully you can see it because it is quite dark in there, but it is quite a significant earthworks, isn't it? So the bank is on the southern side, and then the ditch on the northern side, basically behind all those brambles. So we're continuing to head westwards, and I'll just show you where we're going to end up, basically at the top of that ridge in the very far distance. And so Knap Hill is just round to the left. Morning. A lovely day to be out riding. Your horses are lovely and shiny in the sun.
Enjoy your walk.
And you. Well, this is a splendid section of the Wansdyke here. You can really see how deep the ditch is and how high the bank is. And then just looking over to the north, some beautiful views. No, I think that's Silbury Hill in the far distance, just the top of it anyway. Pretty sure that's what it is. Well, this is as far west as we're going on the walk, and we now say goodbye to the Wansdyke. But look at that, you can see it continuing heading westwards, winding its way up on that ridge. It's almost as if someone's taken a knife and carved a sort of trench up the hill. Amazing. So we're now going to head southwards. Looks like we're re-entering the Pewsey Downs Nature Reserve again. Handy little map up here, hopefully you can see it. So we're there. So we're going to head south to Milk Hill, then the White Horse, and then Adam's Grave. Just before we get to Milk Hill, another view looking south. There's all the tractors and farm machinery out in the fields now, very much in harvest season, of course. Just been chatting to this poor chap down there. He's got one of these, whatever they're called, paraglider things. He's been waiting for ages for the wind to be absolutely right for him to take off, but it's just not windy enough for him. I mean, it's a perfect spot, you know, when you look at the terrain around here. I don't think it's my cup of tea though. I mean, where would you put your Whippet? And here we are at the top of Milk Hill, the highest point in Wiltshire at 295 metres, but only just, I think it's just a few centimetres higher than Tan Hill to the west. So I reckon that means we've been at the highest point in Hampshire, Dorset, Berkshire, Sussex, and now Wiltshire. We're gradually ticking them off. Oh wow. How about this for a view, folks? This is from the side of Milk Hill looking to the south. That's Alton Barnes down there, and then just panning across, and then we can just see the side of the White Horse from here. We'll get a little close. Obviously they're designed to be seen from a distance, but we'll do a little bit of an exploration. So we're now actually on the White Horse Trail, which is a 90-mile long-distance path. Well, I have seen some sources say 96 miles, and it basically links all of the white horses in Wiltshire that are carved into hillsides. Well, we've made it to the White Horse, which is just behind me here. As I said before, the best place to view it is from a distance down in the valley. Let me tell you a bit about it anyway. It was initially cut out in 1812 at the instruction of a local farmer called Robert Pyle. And he gave an ensign painter called John Thorne an advance payment of £20 to design and cut out the horse. But Thorne ran away with the £20, leaving local resident John Harvey to cut out the horse instead. Well, Thorne was eventually captured and tried for a number of different crimes, and eventually was hanged. And its design is based on another white horse in Wiltshire at Cherrell Down, 3.5 miles east of Calne. So this is the second biggest one. It's about 166 foot high and 160 foot long. It may have been as high as 180 feet originally. It was renovated in 2010. And apparently on a clear day you can see it for up to 22 miles away. And apparently it's been transformed into a zebra on April Fool's Day at least twice in the past. I'll put my little drone up to see if we can see it a little bit better, but so the drone can't actually go too high, so it probably won't be able to capture all of it, but it might give you a bit of an idea anyway. Well, we're very much on the last leg now, walking along the side of Walker's Hill, and our final destination just in front of me, Adam's Grave. And here we are at the top of Adam's grave, and it is massive. It's a huge Neolithic long barrow, about 70 metres long and 7 metres high, with an average width of something like 20 metres, and there are ditches on either side. The chamber is made of sarsen stones, and originally it would have been covered in a layer of chalk, and legend has it that it's the grave of a giant. Now, just to the east of Adam's grave is the remnants of a Roman road that, well, joins part of the Ridgeway as well, called the Icknield Way. It shows on a 1900 map. And the Icknield Way, well, it's sort of Celtic British derivation of the name after the Iceni tribe. Well, we're nearly at the end of the walk. The car park is just a few yards to the north from here. Now, we've got a decision to make. Where are we going to take refreshments? I believe there is a very nice farm cafe just down below in the valley, but there's also a very nice pub a little bit further on. Decisions. Which one would you choose? Well, folks, a slight change of plan. It looked like there was some sort of village fete going on at Alton Barnes. The cafe car park was full, and hello. Well, looks like we've got company. Anyway, as I was saying, yes, the cafe car park was full and the pub car park was full. So after a quick survey amongst the two of us, we thought, well, we'll find the next pub further south. So a place called the Woodbridge, I think it's called. And it looks like they serve a fine pint of IPA. Lovely. Now, unfortunately, they don't have Piper's Crisps. Salty dog. Yeah, I don't think you're going to like this. Fortunately, we've got some little mini bonios to keep you happy. Well, folks, we've come to the end of our walk. We thought we'd do the end scene here with the white horse in the background. We hope you enjoyed the walk. If you did, please do give us a thumbs up and a like, and do leave a comment, and do check out our Facebook page, Dave's Countryside Walks. So until we meet again, thanks for watching, and cheerio. Well, you've decided to have a snooze already.